I came home 3 hours earlier than anyone expected, the way a storm sometimes crawls over the Hudson without warning, swallowing the afternoon light. Hawthorne House sat silent in that pale, suspended glow before rain. My driver left the gate humming as it closed. No staff at the portico, no Sienna greeting me with her curated warmth, no Lily's quick footsteps echoing down the marble. Silence tasted wrong on my tongue. I've spent a lifetime reading silence in boardrooms and back channels, and this one felt engineered. The air itself seemed to be holding its breath. I walked without cane or announcement, shoes whispering over limestone, past the bronze of my father's first press, past the portrait Sienna insisted we move to the staircase because, she said, old money should learn new angles. I remember thinking how much she loved to rearrange symbols, as though shifting a frame could change a story. In the gallery, the cameras blinked. Green, green, green. The feed had never lied to me. I believed that, until today. The sound came like a small animal struck by a car, sharp, then swallowed. It came from the music room that Lily loved, the room with the glass ceiling and the white piano Sienna never touches because touch requires intimacy. I stood at the doorway. I saw my wife's heel rise and fall. I saw the small body curl to shield itself. I saw Sienna's lips shape the words I told you. Lily's cry broke the shell I keep around my rage. I moved before I breathed. "Enough," I said. My voice did not echo. It landed like iron. Sienna spun, startled, then weary with calculation, the way traders compose their faces when the market turns faster than their screens. "Edward," she said, and there was honey in the syllables. She lowered her foot. She raised her chin. "She lied to me again. She—" Lily scrambled behind the piano bench, arms over her head. She looked at me with a terror that did not belong in a child's eyes, the same terror I once saw in a young analyst when we discovered a missing 40 million and the people behind it. There is a kind of fear that tells the truth faster than any confession. I stepped between them. I said Sienna's name the way a judge says a verdict. Her smile thinned. "You're early," she said, as if that were the crime. My hands shook, not with age, but with the knowledge that I had brought this woman into the sanctuary where my granddaughter's drawings hang. I had chosen her. I had signed the papers that slid her into our mornings. The rain began at last, soft at first, then harder, as though the sky remembered its duty. The cameras kept blinking. Green, green, green. I felt every penny I ever made become useless in the face of this small, shivering truth. "Go to your room, Lily," I said, gentler than my lungs could manage. "Now." She hesitated, then ran. I listened to the sound of her flight, counting stairs by footfall, the way a general counts seconds between shells. 2 seconds later, a door upstairs clicked. A lock turned. Good. She knew how to make herself a fortress. I taught her that. It was one of the only good things I have done as a father's father. Sienna folded her arms. "You didn't see what happened before you walked in," she said. "You never see what happens before you walk in." I took a breath that tasted like copper. I saw enough. The room smelled of perfume and rain and the faint ozone of electronics. I looked at the nearest camera dome. I imagined what it had recorded. I imagined what it had been told to forget. I thought of the prenup I crafted with the care of a surgeon, the codicils about harm, the clauses about guardianship if harm is proven, the private investigator with instructions to verify my paranoia. And still, seeing is different. Seeing cuts deeper than paper. "Come with me," I said. "To where?" Sienna asked, bored. "To the truth." But the worst was yet to come. I built my life on 2 premises: that numbers cannot be intimidated, and that people can. At 20, I learned to make capital obey. At 40, I learned that loyalty is a currency people spend until it's gone. At 70, I married a woman who could hold a room like a rumor, and I told myself I had outgrown the fear of being alone. Now I was 81, an old billionaire whose name opened doors and whose bones predicted rain, standing in my own music room, considering what it means to protect family when family has been breached from within. My granddaughter, Lily, is 10 years old and brighter than any board member I've fired. Her mother, my daughter Charlotte, lives between charity boards and curated absences, the kind that look like importance when photographed. She loves her daughter the way busy people love, compressed, scheduled, advertised. The custody is mine more often than not, by mutual agreement wrapped in polite lies. She tells the world it is so Lily can enjoy the country air. I know it is because Hawthorne House has always been my confession booth, the one place where I attempt to atone with attention. I fail often. Today I would not. To those who find their way to my story, listen. We tell these tales not to inherit rage, but to learn the shape of responsibility when it hurts. If you have breath in your chest and a child looking at you like you might be a mountain or a door, then you are already called. I am an old man who once believed money could pre-solve problems. Money is only a multiplier. It multiplies whatever you are. If you are weak, it multiplies your evasions. If you are strong, it multiplies your reach. If you are blind, it builds a city around your blindness. I built a mansion where my granddaughter's cry could echo. People like to watch men like me fail. It reassures them that the world has edges. Let them watch. Let them see what an edge can do. I turned from Sienna and pressed the wall panel behind the bookshelf, the one that opens to the security core. The panel slid with a quiet, I paid a French firm far too much to engineer. The hallway beyond is narrow and cooled, lined with black monoliths of servers, the blinking constellation of our digital memory. Sienna did not follow. Good. I wanted her to wonder where my rage would go. In the core, I entered the code that only two people know. Me and the man I hired 15 years ago when a kidnapping attempt taught me the price of pretending. His name is Ezra. He is paid to be a cynic in my stead. On the display, the music room's feed appeared. I scrubbed back 1 hour. I saw Sienna enter. I saw Lily at the piano, her bare feet tucked under the bench, practicing the same 4 bars with stubborn, luminous error. I saw Sienna speak. I saw Lily flinch. I saw Sienna move like someone accustomed to consequences that never arrive. I downloaded the last 6 hours, saved to a vault that lives in 3 places, one of which is not on this continent. I called Ezra. He answered on the first ring. Hawthorne, he said, using the name we use when we mean now. Everything, I said. Already leaving the city, he replied. 10 minutes. When I came back to the music room, Sienna had composed herself into a figure in a magazine spread. We should talk, she said, privately. We are not private anymore, I said. We are in the same house with a truth between us, and that truth is not shy. She smiled. You have always adored your metaphors. They make you feel moral. Metaphors are for people who refuse to name things, I said. I am naming this now. I did not raise my voice. I never do. I have fired men who raised theirs at me. I have ended partnerships with men who could not keep their hands from the table. I stood very still, and in my stillness was every contract I have ever enforced. Sienna shifted, as if the floor had tilted. Those of you listening, do not look away. This is where the story demands your attention. If you have ever doubted whether you should intervene, consider this your instruction. There is a doorbell we must all hear, and once it rings, it never stops. The doorbell is the moment you know. The second you know, you cannot unknow. Action becomes your only honest language. If you found value in stories that refuse to flatter, stay. Share this with someone who needs a spine tonight. Subscribe to the belief that love is protection with a cost. Turn your attention into a habit. The world moves on attention. Put yours where it saves someone small. Because what I saw in my music room that afternoon required more than outrage. It required strategy, and strategy I have, but the worst was yet to come. Sienna walked toward me, slow, like a diplomat crossing a minefield while waving. You will regret misreading this, she said. I came in and found her rifling through my desk. She had my jewelry box open. She was stealing. Stealing, I repeated, as though tasting a word past its expiration date. Want to check? She gestured to the side table where a lacquered box sat open, velvet mouth parted. Inside, a ring with a pear-shaped stone blinked like an eye. She hid this in her pocket. I told her to put it back. She ran. She tripped. I reached to catch her and your foot caught her, I said. It looked worse than it was. Her gaze hardened. You think your granddaughter is a saint because she sees you as a bank. She lies. She manipulates. She is her mother's daughter. There are insults that do not deserve the dignity of rebuttal. I let the silence answer for me. Sienna filled it as narcissists do. We are alone too much in this house, she said. Staff coddle her. You coddle her. She has never been told no in a voice that means something. I told her no. You told her no with your heel. It was a reflex, she said. You've never had to touch discipline because you pay people to do it for you. Must be nice. The rain hardened. The glass ceiling above us filmed with water, the world's veins running overhead. I thought of Lily's small backpack, the one with astronauts on it. She carries it everywhere like a passport. I remembered something sharper. 2 weeks ago, in the study, I found a tiny USB drive tucked under the baseboard. I thought it was a toy and forgot. Old men forget. The forgetting shamed me now. Ezra entered the foyer without ceremony. His suit was the color of weather. He nodded to me, then to Sienna as though she were furniture. Upstairs, I said. Lily's room, check her. Bring Alma. Alma has worked for me since my hair was only half white. She is the reason Hawthorne runs like a clock that keeps the correct time, even when I don't. She's also the only person Lily trusts without looking over her shoulder. When Alma came, she carried a first aid kit and a face like a closed book. She went straight up the stairs with Ezra, leaving behind the medicinal smell of competence. Sienna tried to follow. I barred the way with a look. You will sit, I said. You will wait. She sat. She waited. She smirked the way gamblers do when they think they know the deck. You can check the cameras, she said lightly. You always do. I already did. For the first time, a crack. Then you saw what she did. I saw you. You saw a moment, she hissed. You never see the hours. I am prepared to see all of them. She stood again, too fast. And I'm prepared to leave, she said. With my dignity intact and your reputation intact and our marriage intact, if you stop this theater. We can tell Lily's mother she had an accident. We can... Sit, I said. She stayed standing. I did not repeat myself. The quiet returned, the kind that grows teeth. Footsteps above, a door opening. Alma's voice, low, a river voice. Ezra's voice, the sound of a blade being sheathed. They descended. Alma looked at me, not Sienna. She'll be all right, she said. Bruise coming, no break, fear more than pain. But there are other bruises. The kind you get from falling? Sienna asked, bright as a knife. Alma's mouth tightened. The kind you get from someone deciding you deserve them. Sienna laughed. It was a charming, ugly sound. So now the maid diagnosis. Ezra handed me a small object in a plastic bag. The astronauts on Lily's backpack gazed up at me from a sticker on the drive I had seen and forgotten. She had this in her pillowcase, he said. Said she was waiting for the right time. I closed my fist around it. When I opened it, I was steadier. You told her there was no right time, I said to myself. You told her the right time is when you're afraid, and you do it anyway. I looked at Sienna. We're going to watch something together. She crossed her arms. You love an audience. I love a record. We went to the screening room because in houses like mine, even confrontation has velvet seats. Ezra connected the drive. The screen woke like a single enormous eye. The first file was labeled with a dated simplicity that made my heart catch. Tuesday, after homework. The footage was shaky, low to the ground, the angle of a child's fear. It showed the hallway outside Sienna's dressing room. It showed Sienna speaking to someone on the phone. It showed her saying, in that crisp voice she uses with vendors, "Then we accelerate. He's an old man, a push in the right place, and he will fall into the grave he's already dug." Sienna's laugh from the dark was different from the one she used moments ago, more brittle. "Deepfakes are everywhere," she said. She could have... Ezra paused, zoomed, enhanced the way texts do in movies, except it was quiet and slow. He pointed to the reflection in the dressing room's mirror. 2 cameras, he said. Her phone and the dome in the ceiling. Same angle, same timestamp. We watched. We saw too many things. Sienna rehearsing sadness. Sienna practicing tears. Sienna instructing a man I recognized as our estate attorney's assistant to move a meeting forward regarding amendment signatures. Sienna in the music room with Lily, asking questions like a net. Then today, the moment I had already seen from Lily's vantage. Sienna's foot, Lily's small sound. My entrance, a beat later, my voice a stranger's. I watched myself become the man I should have been hours earlier, days earlier, months. Sienna stood, arms wrapped around herself as if she were cold. I can explain. I do not require poetry, I said. I require names. She lifted her chin. You think you want them. You don't. I always want the market's truth. It settles the price. She looked at the screen, then at me, and then she smiled a new smile, small and real and exhausted. All right, she said, but the worst was yet to come. And the names came like coins spilling from a cracked vault. Dylan Pace, the attorney's assistant who wanted to be more. Margot Penn, the influencer who sells purity cleanses to the impure and introduced Sienna to me at a gala for a hospital wing I barely remember funding, and most of all, a person I had not expected to hear again. Patrick Voss, my former partner, my former friend, the man who taught me that betrayal tends to come wearing your cufflinks. I exiled him from my empire 2 decades ago after he tried to siphon a fund's marrow in the dark. His apology then was spineless. His revenge now apparently involved my marriage. Sienna spoke quickly, afraid the words might choke her if she let them slow. She said Margot told her men like me buy wives the way they buy paintings, for impression and asset value, and that the only way to stay valuable was to control the narrative. She said Dylan whispered that my prenup had teeth sharper than she knew, and that unless she produced an heir and a halo, she would be escorted from Hawthorne not with a settlement, but with a cautionary tale. She said Patrick sent her an email with a simple line, "Regret is just unrealized profit. Work with me. We'll make sure his legacy shifts to a younger guardian." She looked at me when she said younger guardian. She wanted me to flinch. I did not. "And Lily?" I said. "Where does a child fit into men's greed and women's theatre?" Sienna's face shuttered. "I didn't mean to hurt her," she said. "I meant to scare her. She films me, Edward. She documents everything as if she is your auditor. It is not normal. She is 10. She is my blood," I said, and my voice cracked for the first time, not with anger, but with a grief I hadn't honored. And she trusted me to war for her. Ezra's phone vibrated once. He glanced, then looked at me. "Pace is on the move," he said. "Headed north." "To Hawthorne?" I asked. "To the gate," Ezra confirmed. The storm outside pealed, a bass roll across the valley. A car engine approached with the smugness of new money. The intercom buzzed. Alma's voice, "A Mr. Dylan Pace requesting entry. He says he has documents for Mrs. Hawthorne to sign." Sienna exhaled, a small, catastrophic breath. He wasn't supposed to come today. "Open the gate," I said. "Sir?" Alma asked, incredulous. "Open it," I repeated. "Let the man deliver his courage." We moved to the library, the one with the long table where my grandchildren have done their algebra, and where I negotiated a merger that changed an industry while a vase of peonies watched. Dylan entered, holding a black leather folder and a face that wanted to be important. He looked at Sienna the way acolytes look at idols they have chiseled for themselves. He did not look at me until the room told him to. "Mr. Hawthorne," he said. "A pleasure." "Mr. Pace," I said. "Come, save us time." He began the script, emergency amendment to the marital trust, streamline, tax positioning, medical directives, a set of lies dressed as estate planning. Sienna stepped back, eyes on the folder as if it held absolution. Ezra closed the doors. I walked to the table and set Lily's USB drive upon the wood, the way one sets a chalice upon an altar. "Before you ask my wife for a pen," I said, "you should know what the cameras know." Dylan's gaze flicked to Ezra, then to the device, then to Sienna. I saw the instant of calculation, the mental arithmetic of exit strategies. He chose denial. I don't know what you mean. Ezra pressed a remote. The screen above the fireplace glowed. The dressing room video began to play. Dylan's face did something ugly and honest. He reached for his phone. "Leave it," Ezra said. Dylan left it. The next file began. Dylan and Sienna in the garden, heads close, bouquet of lies blooming. His voice saying guardianship expedited, his mouth forming a number, her nod a signature in air. Then the file from today. When it ended, the room was a held breath again. Rain scratched at the windows. Somewhere above us a door creaked. Lily, perhaps, or the house itself, turning in its sleep. I looked at Sienna. "What do you want to be?" I asked. "When this scene is over, because it will be over. The only question is the title of the story you will live inside next." She swallowed. She spoke to me, not the screen, not Dylan. "I wanted to be safe," she said. "I have never been safe, not once. Not as a girl, not as a woman in rooms with men like you, not as a wife in a house that has an army. I wanted to build something that could not be taken from me." "And so you tried to take," I said softly, "from the one person in this house who has less power than anyone." She closed her eyes. "I know." Dylan shifted, suddenly pale with the knowledge that his mentor was not the predator he'd hoped to ride, but prey in a story that had changed species. He opened his mouth. Ezra was faster. "Your firm will receive a packet by morning," he said. "It contains your career's obituary. You will have time to compose a statement about burnout. You will not mention this house." "You cannot threaten me," Dylan said, letting his youth leak into the room. "I don't threaten," Ezra replied. "I forecast." I stepped closer to Sienna. "The clauses you thought would save you," I said, "were written by me. They contain an addendum in plain English. When harm is caused to a minor under this roof, the marriage pauses, assets pause, lawyers pause, everything pauses. We focus on repair. If repair fails, the pause becomes an ending." Her eyes widened. "You wrote that," she whispered. "For a man who likes metaphors," I said. "I can be literal." She looked at the door. She looked at the rain. She looked at me. "Am I a monster?" she asked, the question too late and too young. "You behaved like a person who forgot she was once a child," I said. "Monsters forget that." Behind me, footsteps again, light and hesitant. Lily stood at the doorway, hair damp with the humidity the storm pressed into the house. She looked smaller than she is. She also looked unbroken, which is a miracle and a verdict. "Grandpa," she said, and in that word I heard petition and power and 1,000 mornings of pancakes and piano lessons. "Can I say something?" Sienna turned away, shoulders drawn in. Dylan watched the door like a man studying an exit sign. Ezra's hand hovered near the folder. "Come," I said to Lily, "tell the truth you've saved." She came to the table. She did not look at Sienna. She looked at me. "There's more," she said. "There's a file I didn't give Ezra. I was scared you'd be mad. It's about Mom." The room tilted. I put a hand on the table. The wood steadied me. "What about your mother?" I asked gently. "She knew," Lily said. "She told Sienna that if I got in the way, I should go back to Dad. She said Hawthorne makes people weak and that you make people choose sides without saying they have to. She told Sienna she didn't want to fight for me. My breath left me the way lights leave a city during a blackout. I'd always suspected Charlotte loved her reflection of motherhood more than the thing itself. Suspecting is not the same as hearing it from your granddaughter's careful mouth. The camera above us hummed, recording this moment too. The library smelled like old paper and storm, and something like copper in my blood. I said very quietly, "Play it." Lily handed me the second drive from her pocket. Sienna flinched. Dylan looked ill. Ezra connected it. My daughter's voice filled the library. Cool, efficient, tired of responsibility, tired of me, saying words that will live in my bones even after I'm gone. I let them burn a shape into me. I did not interrupt. I did not defend her. When it ended, Lily looked at me like a climber who had reached a ledge and found either a hand or a void. "I'm here," I said. "I won't let go." In that instant, I decided the shape of the war, not scorched earth, not public spectacle, not a victory that leaves my granddaughter living in ash. A different war, the kind that builds a road as it advances. Sienna looked at me, surprised, as if she had expected the older, colder man I used to be. Dylan stared at the folder that would never be signed. Ezra waited for my command. I gave it. "Alma," I called, "please take Lily to the cottage. Pack for 3 days. We will go to the lake house until the house remembers how to be a home." Alma appeared as if conjured. She took Lily's hand. Lily squeezed mine before she left. A small squeeze, a big covenant. When she was gone, the room felt both lighter and lonelier. I turned to Sienna. "The pause begins now," I said. "You will stay at the guest suite. You will not see Lily. You will meet a doctor tomorrow morning who specializes in people who confuse control with safety. You will give Ezra the passwords you have used to plant your little narratives." Sienna nodded once, not defiant, not broken, paused. I turned to Dylan. "You will leave," I said. "You will send a message to Patrick Voss tonight. It will say, 'He knows. He does not forgive. He is coming.'" Dylan swallowed. "And if I don't?" "You will," Ezra said. Dylan went. The storm began to lighten. Somewhere a bird made a decision to sing. I stood there a long time, an old man in a room full of ghosts and tools. I ran a hand over the table where so many plans were written. I thought about the cost of the life I built, the interest on its loans. I thought about Lily's small voice saying, "Can I say something?" I thought about Sienna asking, "Am I a monster?" I thought about Charlotte's confession and how to build a world where my granddaughter never has to ask if she was chosen. Then I did the thing I know how to do best. I began to act, but the worst was yet to come. The worst, it turned out, was not the revelation of conspirators or the sound of a small body absorbing a blow. The worst was the inventory. When night fell and Alma texted that Lily was asleep in the cottage, clutching the astronaut backpack like a talisman, I walked Hawthorne and counted my failures. I passed the dining room where I had turned birthdays into negotiations about broccoli. I passed the study where I had measured love in SAT tutors. I passed the nursery turned guest room where a crib once stood, while I took a call that changed the company, but missed my granddaughter's first laugh. Wealth can buy silence, security, convenience. It cannot buy back the exact minute you should have been present. Morning came clear, rain scrubbed from the glass. Ezra delivered his report. Dylan had sent the message. Patrick had replied with a single emoji, "I will not describe," because even in victory there is no need to teach cruelty new tricks. The attorney called to apologize for an assistant who had gone rogue. I told him his apology should be written to Lily, not me. He said he would. I said I would read it first. Sienna's therapist arrived at 10. She went in like a person entering a collapsed mine. She came out 2 hours later with eyes that said a cave system had been mapped and that it would be a long dig. Sienna emerged after noon. No makeup, hair flat with honesty. She did not ask to see Lily. She asked if there was a place on the grounds she could work without mirrors. I pointed her to the potting shed. She nodded, a woman preparing to learn humility with her hands. I drove to the lake house alone. The road unwound like relief. At the water, Lily stood on the dock with a fishing rod and Alma beside her, the two of them a silhouette of safety. Lily turned, not running, not hiding. She walked to me with a posture I recognized as mine when I'm pretending to be braver than I feel. She handed me the rod. "I caught nothing," she said. "Sometimes the lake keeps its secrets," I said. "Are we staying?" she asked. "For a few days," I replied. "Until the house is cleaned. Alma cleans it every day. This is a different kind of cleaning." She nodded as if she had expected that answer all along. We sat at the edge of the dock, legs hanging over the water. The sun made a road on the lake, a dragonfly stitched blue thread over the surface. "I thought you'd send me back to Mom," she said, not looking at me. "I will never send you anywhere you don't want to go," I said. "I may ask you to be brave. I may ask you to tell me when I am wrong. I will not send you away, even if I film people without asking. Even then," I said, "especially then, when the filming is the only way to make the truth stand still." She leaned her head against my shoulder. My bones didn't feel 81. They felt exactly the age of a man who has finally chosen his work correctly. We stayed until the sun gave the lake back to the shadows. That night, I wrote letters that tasted like penance. To Lily, promising what my lawyer cannot draft. To Sienna, offering the pause as a place to become someone else if she wanted to, and to tell me when she failed. To Charlotte, telling her that love will be measured now by hours present and not by photos posted, and that custody will be no longer a polite arrangement but a contract enforced by what is best for the child. I did not threaten. I wrote like a man who understands the tools he has and the limits of his power. Then I called my board and told them I would be less available. There was one asset left that required full attention. By the end of that week, the house had new rules that sounded simple and felt like revolution. No locked doors between adults and children. No meetings that exclude the smallest stakeholder when she asks to be heard. Cameras that protect but do not replace eyes. Therapists paid before consultants. Dinners eaten without devices. Stories told without editing. Apologies that arrive before rationalizations. I wrote them and taped them to the refrigerator like a young father who has just decided to be one. Sienna remained in the guest suite and the potting shed. Some days she was quiet as soil. Some days she disappeared into town and came back with dirt on her hands and a look I didn't recognize, something like beginning. We spoke at the end of the week. She did not ask for restitution. She asked if she could read to Lily under supervision when the time felt right. I said yes. The pause was working, not as a punishment, but as a word that makes room. Patrick Voss tried to linger like a toxin in the bloodstream. Ezra did what he does. Papers were filed, calls were made, doors closed around him in the subtle, permanent way that powerful cities manage exile. I did not savor it. I have learned that revenge feeds a hunger that never ends. I fed Lily pancakes instead. If you have come this far with me, then what I ask is simple. Do not watch stories like these for spectacle alone. Use them as a rehearsal for the day the doorbell rings in your life. Subscribe to the discipline of showing up. Share this with someone who excuses harm with clever language and call it what it is. Leave a comment that names your own pause, what you will stop, so that someone smaller can breathe. The world will not be saved by men like me building empires. It will be saved by households that refuse to trade a child's safety for an adult's convenience. My reaction that day was not heroic. It was overdue. I do not pretend otherwise. But overdue action still moves the world. If you need a final truth to carry with you, take this. Wealth is a mirror that amplifies whatever stands before it. Place love there. Place courage there. Place a child there and stand between her and anything that thinks it has the right to rearrange her life with a heel. Because when I came home early and saw what I saw, I learned that the true measure of a legacy is the sound a house makes when a child sleeps without fear. That night at the lake, with the windows open and the loons calling, Hawthorne finally remembered how to be a home. And yet even in peace, I keep listening for the bell, not out of dread, but out of duty. If it rings again, I will answer faster. I hope you will too. Share this now so someone else will hear it in time. Subscribe if you believe attention can be an instrument of rescue. Return tomorrow. There will be another story, another edge, another chance to choose the child. The storm has passed. The water holds the sky. The house waits. So do I, but not in silence.